in this video, I'm going to talk about the tracking or the setting up of tracking your leads. And this is one of the areas where we've had the most friction, where people sort of bump into hurdles and they're like not sure where to go, how to set it up. And this is where we felt we really needed help in being intuitive, especially when you're setting up a new account. So keep that in mind when you're going through. If there's something like, it's like, well, that could be clearer, or you have any suggestions on what we should do to make it clearer, just let us know. We just want it as frictionless as possible when you're setting up a new account. So let's dive in. So the one, usually this comes up when you are adding a new account or a new profile. So let's go through that test. Oh, I want to do beta testing. And I'm going to put in the website address. One thing I noticed when I first did this, if you didn't put in the HTTPS, it shouted you. So that could be simpler, less friction. Okay, I'll put it in. The next thing we do, let's set up your account. We give you this like checklist so you can see exactly what steps you need to take. So you've created an account, completed, check. Next step is install tracking code. So automatically we open up the window which has the tracking code. You'll see if you do a WordPress site, we give you the ID so you can just download the WordPress plugin. And once you've done that, you can verify installation of the tracking code and that will mark that it's completed. I did just test it and it didn't work. So I'm not going to, I'm going to let the developers know, but that will work. It's going to look on your website if you have a tracking code, and then it's going to say, yes, you got it, successful. So let me close that for now. And then that will say completed. The next step is track phone calls. And this is probably the most friction that our new users came through. It's like how to set up phone call tracking. And there'd be questions, why do I need a dynamic number pool? How many numbers do I need? So we've got a thing where we recommend just going through a typical setup. What this does is it just allows you to go through the steps, and the WhatConverts software does everything else. It adds the tracking numbers, creates a dynamic number pool for you. It sets it so it just tracks all traffic. So if you just want to track all traffic on your website, you go typical setup. If you want something special, you can go to the advanced setup, and then it's going to ask you some questions and walk you through it. So whether you want a dynamic number or static number, do you want this on your website? Do you want it for your Google ad extension or offline? Things like that. So let's go typical setup. So I'd love to give you feedback on how this flows for you. Next step. One of the things that we always get asked is how many numbers do I need in my dynamic number pool? This is going to get you 90% of the way, if not 100% of the way. So 90% of the people are going to be served by this. Just literally tell us how many daily visits you have on your website, and then we will tell you how many numbers you need. So you need 344 daily visits, you need 5 tracking numbers. If you need 760, you need 10 tracking numbers. So now that you know you need 10 tracking numbers, we say use the filters below to select the tracking numbers for your business. I'm in Charlotte, so I'm going to put in 704. Let me find some numbers. And it pre-selects the 10 tracking numbers you need. Okay, so I'm just going to select one for this demo. Enter the destination number. Tell us if that wording makes sense to you. That's my destination number. And then we ask you, like, you want to get the most out of it. Call recording, call greetings, takes you through all these standard messages. One thing I like about the call greeting or the call whisper is we have dynamic fields you can insert. Like if they came from Google, you can put in there, this call is from Google. We have lots of different voices that you can use to play this message, and you can listen to them, or you can upload an MP3. So that hasn't changed, but it's just hopefully more intuitive. So let's go to the next step. So once you've done the phone call tracking, it's completed. So that's pretty cool. You can also add more phone numbers here. If you had the dynamic number pool and now you want to do Google My Business number or a Google ad extension, you can go through the process again. The next step is let's add web forms. You can use a form finder or do it manually. So manually is going to ask you, for the fields, what's the attribute? Is it an ID, a class, or name? Is it an alternate submit button? I'm just going to move my head here. Let's go back. So I'm going to do the form finder, put in the web address on our contact page, find form. It shows you the form that it can track. On some websites, you may see several forms. There might be an email subscribe field, which is in a form. There may be a search box, which is also classed as a form. And then there's like a request for quote form. So in that case, email, search form, and request for quote form, this will allow you to choose which form you want to track. So in this case, it's only one, so you can go finish. And we've completed all of that. If this was completed as well, it would then say, you're good to go. Let's go to the dashboard. So let's do that. Let me know what you think about that process and how that worked for you. Okay, so now we've got an account. The next thing we did is we have sample data. So we're showing sample data. Previously, if you came in with live data, you got this. It's an empty shell. You don't know what it's going to do. You don't know how it's going to work. So we just hope by showing live data that you're going to see what is possible, what you can get from it. Let me know what you think about that. So the other way you can set up call tracking is just go here, call tracking phone calls. And from here, before we had split the phone numbers and the dynamic number pools, here you can get access to the dynamic number pools right here. You can add a pool, you can add a phone number. So that's all here. If you ever need to edit anything, it's got all the features that you can do in the editing. So tell me how that works. One feature I really like is test the phone number, because some people, they buy a phone number and it's like, well, should we call it or test it? So this is going to place a test call to the number. So it's actually dialing now. It's going to come through on the phone. You're going to answer it. And then it's actually going to say to you, this is a test call. So it's going to test and verify that the number is working correctly. And then it's going to say, yeah, this was successful, connected. So now you know the number's good to go. You've tested it. It's going to work. So you've got your code installed. You've got your numbers set up. You've done a test. You're all good to go. I'm thinking that this test step should actually be in that to do that sign up, when you're actually going through the process. So that's the kind of feedback I'd like from you guys as well. Okay, that's about it. And tracking as well, integrations, it's down here. This is a profile level. For instance, Google Analytics, you can add a property, Universal or Google Analytics 4. You can do both if you like. So just walk through the different steps and let us have any of your feedback. I think that's about it. So hope you enjoy. Hopefully it is friction-free and very intuitive to use. But if it isn't, let us know. Thank you so much.